pickup. Protesters are outraged over video that shows a police officer shooting Jacob Blake 7 times in the back.
Protesters dodged tear gas canisters shot by riot police in front of the courthouse. Police did not provide details about what led up to that shooting, but say Blake was taken to Milwaukee for treatment. Now the guard was deployed after police say rioters burned down multiple businesses in that city on Sunday night. New this morning, a man is dead following an officer-involved shooting over the weekend in Belcourt, North Dakota. But a lot of questions are still unanswered. The FBI says the shooting happened at a home in Belcourt late Saturday night or into the early morning hours of Sunday.
Police identified the man who was shot as 35-year-old Brandon LaDucer of Belcourt. The FBI is not releasing information about the circumstances of the shooting, including the reason for the police response and how LaDucer died. The search continues for a 6-month-old baby who may be in North Dakota. Lucas Warner was taken on Saturday in Columbia Falls, Montana. Authorities believe 20-year-old Andrew Warner and 19-year-old Haley Emerson took the baby. Warner is Lucas's non-custodial father.
Now keep an eye out for a 1990 to 2000 Chevy extended cab pickup with unknown license plates. The couple may be taking the baby to North or South Dakota, Wyoming, or the Bob Marshall Wilderness. Now, if you have any information about this abduction, you should call 911 right away. Fargo City Commissioners say yes to David Zabolski as the new police chief. But before he officially takes over the job, he'll have to go through an extensive background check and pass medical and psychological examinations.
That could last 3 to 5 weeks. He will be paid just under $160,000. He takes over for Chief David Todd, who retired in July.
10 minutes before the top of the hour, let's get a check of our forecast. Pleasant day that we have in store for us, but storms could be on the way. Good morning, Lisa.
Good morning. You got that forecast right. We're talking about a good start and an orangey start to our morning. This is a live view on our First Alert Skycam network. We're seeing that sun peeking over the horizon and wildfire smoke helping to filter out some of that sunlight, leaving behind the oranges and reds here. And that is definitely a spectacular view. Unfortunately, it's because of those western wildfires bringing that smoke with the change of the weather pattern. That's bringing that smoke farther east, and you can see much of the 2/3 of the country at least seeing some of that smoke overhead, and that includes the Dakotas and Minnesota. The latest from wildfire smoke information right here. You can see where the darker orange is. That's where it's a little bit more substantial. Not so bad in the yellow areas, but definitely something we are noticing over the last couple of days. Also seeing the clouds and rain out to the west on our radar and satellite map. You can see that that's already starting to creep into northeastern North Dakota, the cloud cover is, and eventually we will see increasing chances for some rain and storms today too. Temperatures are in the range of 52 in Fosston to 70 in Fergus Falls, at 61 in Fargo, and 55 currently in Grand Forks. With wind that's not too strong right now, it will get a little breezier as we head into the afternoon and evening. A gust or two to 30 miles per hour can't be ruled out. And it's that time of year again. We're bringing back the bus stop forecast as kids are heading back to school. Heading off to school this morning, not bad at all. Mostly sunny skies across much of the region. And heading home, we're looking at some conditions that are going to be warm. Temperatures again back into the 80s with some partly cloudy skies coming up for this afternoon. So a little more cloud cover. And that's when you got to start keeping an eye on the radar too, especially heading into this evening. The greater threat for storms will be overnight and into tomorrow morning. 1 or 2 of them might get strong and staying unsettled through the work week. Friday, though, we start to quiet down. Check out the start of next week, though. Feeling more like the start of the school year with temperatures back into the 60s for highs.
All right, got to watch out for those storms, though. Thank you, Lisa. North Dakota's longest-serving Supreme Court justice is out of the hospital and now in a rehab facility as he recovers from COVID-19. Justice Gerald Vandewaal was discharged on Friday to a facility for rehabilitation to regain his strength.
Vandewaal had been hospitalized in Bismarck since August 3rd. He says he isn't sure how he got the coronavirus. He had been working from the state capitol during the pandemic and says he wore a mask and gloves while shopping. It's that time of the year when we start thinking about our children riding the bus or even spending more time at home alone now that we're doing distance learning.
So how do you talk to your kids about staying safe while they're heading to and from school and possibly when they're home alone? The Valley Today's Brian Sherrod joins us live with more, with advice that parents need to tell their children tonight. Good morning, Brian.
And good morning, Jordan and Lisa. As like you said, you want to make sure you're being extra cautious when it becomes being home alone or even getting off the bus. So we have some tips for you to let you know what you should do with your children. And of course, I'm here with Sergeant of the SRO program, Derek Krupp, to let us know about some of these tips. Thanks, of course, for being here with me this morning. When children are getting off the bus and they are approached by a stranger, they don't know this person, what kind of tips should these children be taking?
Well, anytime that they're talking to somebody or approached by somebody that they don't know, they shouldn't talk to them, and they should go and talk to an adult then and let them know what happened.
Okay, so when it comes to the description, how should these children describe who they saw?
Well, the best that they can. It's hard for especially young children to give a good description, but the best that they can do from what they remember and relay that information on to the adult and tell the adult what happened. They can help with that from there.
Okay, so what would you consider as being an adult for these kids?
Well, a lot of times it would be neighbor, somebody else that they know personally, or even some of the older kids that they go to the bus with can be able to help them through a situation like that.
Okay, so some of these children will be home alone because of the hybrid learning. If someone decides to knock on the door and they don't know who this person is, what's some of those best practices for them?
Well, I wouldn't recommend opening the door for somebody that you don't know. And that's parents and children should be working out a plan ahead of time to work with that as to what to do and who to call. They should have a call list of who's available during the day that they can contact if they're alone and talk to them about getting help.
Okay, so when it comes to that contact list, growing up, I know we were always told to put it like on our fridge. Would you recommend that as well?
Sure, just somewhere that's readily available by the phone for the child. So.
Perfect, awesome. Thank you again for being here for me again this morning. And of course, we'll have more tips for you later on this morning.
Yeah, a lot for parents and students to watch out for as they head into the school year. Brian, thank you. The University of Minnesota is tweaking fall semester plans. The Board of Regents is delaying the move-in at the Twin Cities, Duluth, and Rochester campuses, and classes will be completely online for at least 2 weeks because of the coronavirus.
Student association leaders from 3 campuses had asked the board for increased testing and safety procedures this fall. Classes begin August 31st in Duluth and September 8th at the other 2 campuses. North Dakota health officials say 17 people in the state who attended the Sturgis motorcycle rally earlier this month have tested positive for COVID-19. North Dakota is one of 7 states trying to track outbreaks from the 10-day rally.
They face the task of tracking an invisible virus that spread among rally-goers who then traveled home to over half of the counties in the United States. Now, the city of Sturgis conducted a mass coronavirus testing right now for its 7,000 people who live there. North Dakota Commerce Commissioner Michelle Kammer is leaving her state job and returning to the private sector in October. She was appointed to the Commerce Department in December of 2018 after serving 2 years as the state labor commissioner.
Last Wednesday, interim state health officer Andrew Stahl also announced he's returning to the private sector. Food boxes will be given to people in need in North Dakota thanks to Farmers to Families Food Box program. In Jamestown, people can pick up food today from 3 to 6 at the Civic Center. Tomorrow in Grand Forks, you can go to the Alara Center from 4 to 6:30.
Food will be distributed in Moorhead next Monday from 3:30 to 5:30 at the Probstfield Center for Education parking lot, and it will be a drive-through pickup. You won't have to meet any income requirements. A lot of work has gone into filling downtown Fargo with shops, restaurants, and bars for you to enjoy. But people who live, work, or have businesses there say the dangerous activity is now driving people away.
The Downtown Community Partnership says a lack of social service resources since the pandemic began and changes in open container ordinances have both led to more trouble, like fighting and harassment. They're asking for the people and bars that contribute to these issues to be held accountable, and for ordinances that allow police to act.
Making sure that the city continues to fund social services for those who need it most and put housing as a priority. And with that, we would also like to see a day center.
City leaders say the needed help for many of the homeless downtown was lost during this COVID-19 pandemic, but the change is now in the works. The city's director of planning and development says they're talking about it with police tomorrow. They're telling you again, keep a sharp eye out for car prowlers. This doorbell camera caught a couple of crooks in the Village Green neighborhood of South Moorhead around 4 yesterday morning. The homeowner spotted 2 guys carrying backpacks and riding bikes in their neighborhood.
There were 8 reports of people going into unlocked vehicles yesterday. So police are urging you to lock your car doors and take your valuables inside. We checked with Moorhead Police this morning about any additional activity. They say it was a lot quieter overnight. So far, no reports of car prowlers. If your kids go to a Fargo public school, you might want to keep an eye on the COVID-19 case rate in Cass County. The district is using it to determine if school will be in person or distance learning.
Plans for the beginning of school are still set, but starting September 29th, school officials say there will be no in-person classes if there are more than 14 cases per 10,000 people in the county. The case rate comes out once every other week, and it's the model that school leaders will use to continue to assess the COVID-19 risk. Meanwhile, North Dakota has 127 new cases with 1 new death related to the virus. The death toll now stands at 137. The positivity rate, 4.91%. There are more than 1,600 active cases right now.
In Minnesota, there are 717 new cases with 4 more deaths. The death toll is now at 1,771. More than 63,000 people have recovered. Let's get our answer now to our question of the morning on Facebook. Here's today's question. 1 in 5 of us say this is our biggest annoyance at home.
The answer is pet hair.
I would agree. Dog or cat? I have a dog, and I'm just like, why? It's everywhere. You can't control it.
I feel like you sign up for it when you get the pet,
That's
though,
true.
so I don't
You
know
do.
how. I
No
think the
sympathy.
yeah, no sympathy. I think the lovable cuddles and kisses from your pet,
Makes
so
up for it.
they're probably worth it. Yeah. But the Today Show and CBS This Morning, they're just about to start, but the Valley Today rolls on. We'll have more live up-to-the-minute news and weather coming up right now on the Fargo CW.